Hey folks, welcome back to Kubistar Music YouTube channel. My name is Jakub Saputra, and today I want to bring you into a more personal space of mine. I actually don't like to talk about this because I think it's an embarrassing topic to talk about. And I feel weak whenever I have to talk about it because after all, I struggled with this for a very long time. Today I'm going to talk about procrastination, when overconfidence meets overwhelm. I'm going to try to talk about it from my own personal self-observations, analysis, and from some literature that I've stumbled upon over the years when I'm trying to overcome it myself. I'm not in any way an authority in this field, but I'm your fellow rider in this crazy loop. Believe me, I still struggle to deal with this every once in a while, but I believe I have come a long way to overcome this, and these things that I'm about to tell you have helped me in the past, and I hope it will help you too. So this video is actually more like a journal for me, or better yet, a self-reminder for my future self in case I'm trapped in this pit ever again. To begin, let's look back at the time when you were procrastinating, or putting things off, calling mañana, or whatever you want to call it. Or if you're right now actually procrastinating, tell me what makes you procrastinating right now. Come on, think about it. Labeling it is actually good, so come on, just shout it out. Just shout the first thing that comes to your mind. Let me jump ahead to one of the solutions now. Well, the easiest and the clinically advised thing to combat procrastination is actually to be kind to yourself, or what they call practice self-compassion. So there you go. I asked you to forgive yourself for binging on YouTube. I hope I can help you to snap out of it today. Well, some of you may say, I procrastinate because I don't even know where to start, or maybe because you say, I don't feel like it. Or you may even be too lazy to come up with a reason. And so you just simply say, it's because I'm lazy. But hey, I'm not here to judge you because again, I have been in that position before. But if you ask me what is my chief reason to procrastinate, I might have come up with a very specific one. I don't know if this only happens to me or if it happened to you too. But let's see. Oftentimes when I get a new project, there's this kind of inner dialogue in my head. In my mind, I was like, it's cool. The project is not that hard. It's not gonna take long. I can just do it later. The deadline is still quite far anyway. So in other words, to me, by the time I need to actually do it, the work seems very easy to me. So then I procrastinate. Is it just me, or do you have the same inner dialogue? Well, I asked some of my students and my friends, and apparently the same thing happens to them too. So I think this sense of overconfidence is actually really happening to a lot of people. And let me admit something. Overconfidence is actually my personal biggest reason for procrastinating. Oof, that was difficult to say. So first, I procrastinate because I think I have it under control. I don't have to start now. Because even if I do it later, I think I can still finish it in time, with ease even. But what happens when the deadline is actually approaching and I start to actually work on the project? Suddenly I realize that this thing actually will take longer and is more complicated than I initially thought. And guess what happened next? Yup, I put it off yet again. Because this time I'm overwhelmed by the project and by how close it is to the deadline. Now I don't even know if I can finish it in time at all. It's like a double punch. For real, it's a gut-wrenching feeling when these things happen to you. You feel depressed, you feel sorry for yourself, and the most ironic things happens. Now you feel diffident. You suddenly have a very low self-esteem, even though you were overconfident in the beginning. Now you feel like you're not qualified to do any of this to begin with. Am I right? And because you feel awful about yourself and you feel like you suck, now you procrastinate even more. Because what's the point, right? This is a vicious cycle that is very, very depressing and very hard to snap out of. So trust me, you're not alone. And again, be kind to yourself first and foremost. If you notice, most of the time we put off things that are actually not too far off from our ability to execute. It can range from only a couple of inches easier than our current ability, all the way to only a couple of inches away from our comfort zone. Because if it's really, really easy, like simply turning on your computer, you would have no problem doing it instantly. And if it's really, really difficult, and you know for a fact that it is beyond your ability, like fixing the motherboard of your computer, you would have backed out in the first place, or you might have gone to get some help immediately. Because you know for yourself that there's no point to even try. But it's always the thing that we know we can do, we know we have the ability to finish the task, but we also know that it will give us some level of discomfort when it's time to actually perform the task. So our brains start looking for excuses, and in the beginning, start to underestimate the amount of effort and the amount of time needed to finish the task, while at the same time overestimating our own ability. Hence, the overconfidence procrastination. Let me ask you these other questions. How many of you start doing some unimportant things or chores that you wouldn't have done otherwise while you're putting off your important task? Like, let's say you start cleaning your desk, rearranging your cabinet, or deleting files in your computer, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you know that you're not doing it because you want to do it, but simply because you are putting off a bigger task that you know you're supposed to do at that very moment. Sounds familiar? Well, that's because it's easier to clean your desk and to delete junk files than working on a task that make you feel like a failure. We don't like to feel like a failure. We don't like to believe that we are not as good as we initially thought. What we want to believe is everything is as easy as deleting files and as easy as cleaning the desk. So I don't think it's because you are lazy, but I think it's because you haven't acquired the right sense of humility. You know, apparently procrastination is a problem that a lot of people have, but I believe you can make it worse if you're a creative person or if you're working in a creative field. I might be biased because after all, I'm in this category, but I do have a very strong reasons to believe that that's the case. Look, if you're a creative person or working in a creative industry, chances are you very well know that you're a creative person. And people around you have been also telling you of how creative you are and how good you are at what you do. So you have been accustomed to this kind of acknowledgement all your life. These compliments have become a part of your identity, and as a result, it's tied to your ego. And because of that, you become a victim to your own sense of grandiose. But what happens when you realize that the project that you're supposed to do might not be as easy as you initially thought? And when you start feeling the weight of the project, what happened? You start losing a part of your identity and start questioning your own self-worth. How close am I? Dr. Tim Pitchell from the Procrastination Research Group once said, we should realize that procrastination is not a time management issue. Instead, it's an emotion regulation problem. And since artists and artistic people rely a lot on their emotion to do their work, we often confuse the emotional aspect of things from the mechanics. And many artists simply never work on their emotion management skill. Maybe because they think that art has to come from a raw emotion or something, which is a completely backward thinking. But that's for another video. Do you see my point why I think an artistic person is more susceptible to procrastination? At the end of the day, we can talk 1,001 different ways how procrastinations can choke the life out of us. But now I want to focus on the solution. Don't get me wrong, it is important to find the root cause of our procrastinations. But now, it's the time to find a way out. So now, I'm going to share with you 5 things that I do that have never failed to snap me out of the procrastinations. These 5 things that I'm about to tell you have helped me tremendously in the past. So I'm convinced that it's going to help you too. If you're indeed procrastinating right now and you're actually not supposed to watch this video at this very moment, I want you to listen to me very carefully, okay? Because you will only have like 5 seconds or less to snap out of your deep procrastinations as soon as this video ends. So as I go through these 5 things, do yourself a favor. Do these 5 things along with this video. Just do it as soon as I mention it. You can pause this video while you're going through each and every step and play it again as soon as you finish one of them. Because with each step, you're actually building a momentum, a stair, so to speak, to get out of the procrastination pit. I don't want you to make me and this video another reason to procrastinate without letting me push you to get out of it. So in a way, please do it for me, not just for yourself. So are you ready? Let's start. Tips number 0. Go smash the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell right now. Well, when you do this, you would not only help the YouTube algorithm, but you also start building momentum by showing me how much you are willing to do something for somebody else other than yourself. So thank you for that. Now we're ready. Let's go to number 1. I want you to forgive yourself for putting things off. How? Maybe by saying it out loud. I usually say to myself, Yakub, I forgive myself for putting things off. I am still amazing, and I still have a huge opportunity to grow. You can say basically anything to yourself, but the most important thing here is you have to forgive yourself for your shortcomings and acknowledge that you can still make up for it. This is called self-compassion. Self-compassion is the least you can do at this point, and you deserve it. You owe it to yourself. Because you know anything short of self-compassion hasn't worked up to this point, has it? So go ahead. Grant yourself some self-compassion. Pause this video if you need to. Let's go to number 2. The second thing that I would do is to move my body in such a radical way. It has to be a strong and sudden move. Maybe a huge clap, the gorilla pat, an explosive stretch. All this movement will interrupt all the sluggishness in your body and infuse a brand new energy into you. This is called the power moves. Think of it like when your dog shakes off water after it gets showered. In the same way, your strong and sudden move will shake off all the laziness, all the slow moving mud that makes you just want to stay in bed all day. So come on, give me your best shot. And this is the reward for you for that. Alrighty, now for the tips number 3. I want you to do the easiest things that you can do right now to start your task. It should be as easy as turning on your computer, or maybe it could be opening your applications, session, project, whatever it is. Or maybe putting your shoes on if your desired task is to actually go on an exercise. Just do that simplest and easiest thing that you can do to jumpstart your task right now. Pause this video if you need to. Now for step number 4, I need you to pick up a pencil and a piece of paper, just whatever lying around. And right now we're going to write 3 things that we can do on the task that will only take you 2 to 5 minutes to complete. Just the next 3 moves, and the moves that you know will only take 2 to 5 minutes to complete. No more than that. I don't want you to overthink this, and don't overcomplicate your task. If your task is to write a beat, you can write number 1, choose a bass patch. Number 2, write 3 bass lines. Number 3, choose the one I like the most. If you're a singer-songwriter, it can be number 1, write 3 chord progressions. Number 2, choose the one I like. Number 3, sing and record nonsense lyrics to that chord progression. If you are supposed to practice your instruments, for example, number 1, play your metronome. Number 2, start playing a scale, anything. Number 3, decide on what you need to practice the most. I remember there is a saying, complexity is the enemy of execution. If you know that your task is easy and only takes less than 5 minutes to accomplish, you will be able to do it immediately. Now, tips number 5. Aim for imperfection. I know some of you will be like, what? What are you talking about? Imperfections? But seriously, I need you to not think about the quality of your work just yet. At least not when you just jump starting yourself. I love the way Tim Ferriss put it. Just write 2 crappy pages. That's all you need to aim for at this point, which is actually summarize my 4th and 5th tips. Because again, complexity is the enemy of executions, and trying to be perfect is a complex thought. And you know what perfection really is? It's actually an illusion, but that's for another video. All I'm saying is what you really need to aim for at this stage is to gain momentum and to be in the zone. You know what I'm talking about. It's the moment when you are so focused on your work that everything doesn't matter anymore. It's the moment where you are so immersed in what you're doing that you lose the sense of time. You are in the flow. That's where your best works will start to emerge, not when you deliberately force it to happen. If you're already pumped by now, I have no hard feelings whatsoever if you decide to stop the video and start doing your work right now. That means I did my job. But if you're still here, let's recap. Let's see why these 5 tips, or rather 5 steps, have helped me and many others, in fact, to snap out of procrastination. First, you need to practice the self-compassion because you need to forgive yourself to be able to move on. You are not perfect, and it's okay. You have messed up, and that's okay. Let's put the past in the past because you need to forgive yourself to be able to move on in the first place. Secondly, you need to interrupt the sluggish pattern in your body and in your mind. Remember the first law of Newton, that everything will remain at rest unless compelled to change instead by an action of an external force. In other words, by moving your body with such intensity, you're compelling yourself to change your sluggish and fearful state of mind. Before you know it, you immediately breathe much deeper, You move with much more certainty, and you activate those muscles that have been inactive. So your body acts as an external force to your mind. You're basically creating your personal Big Bang. Third, you're rolling your newly built momentum to the first easiest thing in the sequence of eventually completing the task. Remember when I said in the beginning? Because if it's really, really easy, like simply turning on your computer, you would have no problem doing it instantly. Fourth, you're extending your momentum to the next series of events with some form of little accomplishments and successes in the near sight, which is very energizing and very rewarding. And lastly, because you aim to just do the work and not to worry about the result just yet, you essentially keep extending the momentum that will work itself out, hopefully until the completion of your task. But what if you stop after the 6th or the 10th moves? Well, it's okay. It's totally okay. Don't beat yourself up. You don't have to go there again because it doesn't help, remember? Because I'll let you do it if it actually helps. But we both know it does not. So why go there? All you have to do is to get some rest and repeat the process from step 1 again, which is self-compassion. You're allowed to repeat this process as much as you need until you don't need it anymore to complete your task. Guess what? The more you do it, the stronger your awareness will become. Now you have the recipe and you know that you have the muscles and the ability to complete your task, and you know it for sure. But what happens when you start feeling that the tasks get harder and harder, or when you find yourself once again procrastinating? Well, just calm down and just remember that you are still amazing to begin with, and these difficulties is your opportunity to grow yet again. If you keep repeating this process from one task to the next, you will end up with a sense of humility. And the more humility you have, the less likely you are to procrastinate because of the overconfidence. And you will eventually start realizing that the task that you are supposed to do is the just right challenge for you. Over time, you will have the right wisdom and the right emotional state to start immediately, while knowingly that there will be some unexpected difficulties that lie ahead. But those difficulties too are solvable and well within your ability to overcome. So neither overconfidence nor any overwhelm will be able to drag you to the point of inaction. This is our journey together, and I believe in you 100%. Well, I told you my story. I told you my way to overcome it. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to reflect and make myself a mental note that I am too an overcomer. Now, if you're struggling with this, write a comment below. Tell me your story. Tell us your story. You never know who you would help by sharing your story. Guess what? By writing your experience down in the comment below, you will have the opportunity to reflect and find some facts that you might have overlooked. Whether it is those little things that keep pulling you to procrastinations, or it may be even the little things that you do that you don't even realize that has never failed to lift you up from one and give you a tremendous amount of energy and willpower to finish your project. So I'd love to hear from you. And if you're more comfortable to tell your story in a more personal setting, go ahead and send me a DM on my Instagram at saputrayakub. It's always good to have somebody to talk to, isn't it? If you like this video and it helps you in any way, please again, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell. And if you think that this video will help somebody that you care about, you're more than welcome to share it, because you don't know how much little thing can help somebody tremendously. Thank you again for listening to my story. I see you on the other side.